Sometimes you just have a little bit of technical issues. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the Coffee Q&A, your daily dose of Coffee Q&A here on the Onocoffee channel. I'm Jay, your host, and if you've been with us for a few more minutes, you have probably noticed that we had a little bit of technical issues. Whenever I have a technical issue on the streaming service, I use YouTube Studio, and if you make a technical error, there's no way to go back and correct that, right? And it was just a settings issue, so I had to go back, end it, and then create a whole new stream, which is what we're in now. So I'm glad you're here. Good to see all of you. Hope you're doing well. How's it going? So if you're just for the very first time, we do this live stream most Monday through Fridays, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we talk about coffee. So if you have questions about coffee, put them in the comments here or put them in the comments down below, and we will address them as soon as we possibly can. So how's it going? I hope it's going to be a good one. Naomi left a message on the last stream, said, "Oh, I'm sorry I can't join you guys today, but I want to watch it. Happy Valentine's Day." Happy Valentine's Day to you as well, Naomi, and a happy Valentine's Day to all of you. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so big love and happiness to all of you. Oh, and also next week is going to be Chinese New Year, so that's going to be kind of interesting. Got to put together something for that. But today I thought we'd look at this. This is something called the Yuzu sparkling water from a company called Kimino. Kimino is a company out of Japan. I got this at one of the local Asian markets here, probably the Japanese market, and it sounded kind of interesting. So what it is, it's basically a sparkling water that has some yuzu juice. And if you're not too familiar with yuzu is a very popular citrus that's kind of very popular in Japan. And it is a hybridization of the mandarin orange as well as something called what was it called? It is called the ichang papeda. And the ichang papeda is from the ichang region. They theorize this from the ichang region of China. And it's what they call it. It's basically, so this ichang papeda is a very like hardy kind of citrus that has a lot of qualities that can withstand excessive water as well as colder temperatures. So it is very hardy. It can be grown in, I guess it can be grown in somewhat, more temperate climates. I don't know if it can be grown like in the United States as much, but definitely Japan Japan's weather is very similar to the East Coast of the United States. I'm sure in the subtropical southern parts, maybe that's where it's grown. I'm not sure, but it's an interesting product, very popular and growing in popularity here in America. Russell also here with us. Good morning to you. Kent, how's it going? Good to see you as well. And Mako's here as well. Good to see you also. So we've got this Yuzu. We're going to make Americano with it because sometimes we like to do these, see how Americanos will, how drinks will fare as an Americano. Can we add coffee to it? Will it be delicious? I don't know. I haven't tried this yet. But I'm thinking that it might have some interesting qualities because in Thailand, there is a drink that's very popular called orange Americano, orange coffee, Thai cold iced coffee, orange. And so, but what they're doing is basically they're taking orange juice and they're pulling shots of espresso on it. We've done this. We've done a version of that on this show in the past. But that juxtaposition of the bitterness of the espresso with the sweetness of the orange juice, can't speak, really provides a really interesting drink. So I've tried this Orangina, which is one way to do it. You can do orange juice, and I'm actually planning to do one. We're going to try it out with something called decopone, which is what's called sumo oranges here in the United States. And those, again, are a hybridization of mandarin. Mandarin seems to hybridize with a lot of things and makes delicious kind of citrus. I'm not sure why that is. But another interesting thing is this ichang papeda. This is catchy. The fruit itself, the general fruit of ichang papeda tends to be more of a very hardy citrus, but less palatable. So people don't really eat it. They use it more for architectural details. They use it for decoration, for gardens, to make it look pretty. But they don't necessarily eat the fruit because the fruit is slow growing. And I guess it just doesn't taste very nice. And, the yuzu tends to be a little bit sharper than a lot of the other types of citrus. And here in the United States, we're very sweet palate oriented. So, yuzu is a little bit sharper than I think a lot of Americans are used to when they think of like citrus, right? Of course, now another thing about this papeda is that it was also used as a hybridization to create things like key limes. And I learned that recently. I was like, well, that's very interesting. So we're going to use this and make Americano with it. And let's see what they have the ingredients here. So Kimino is a company that's based outside of Tokyo. And they're a relatively small company. So I guess they do the packaging down in the Aichi prefecture, which if you look at their literature, they talk about, they want to do this Kanso type of theory, where the Kanso theory is basically, they're trying to make everything simplistic. It's that whole Marie Kondo thing, like just pare down your world into what's essential. As you can see, I'm not very good at Kanso thinking, but these guys, the idea is that they're going to make it just the juice, just good water. And in their literature, they talk about having juice from the Western Japan. And I was like, Western Japan? Are they like over by Hiroshima or something? And turns out they're down in Aichi. And I was like, Aichi is like, isn't that outside of Osaka? Which is, to me, and that it turns out that Osaka is the part of the Chugoku region, which is different than the Kanto region of Tokyo, right? So Kanto, Tokyo is considered Eastern Japan. And then Chugoku, is considered Western Japan. So I was like, oh, I didn't realize that the division was between Tokyo and Osaka, but I guess it is. And so made in Aichi, so they have this Aichi Western Japanese water, which evidently has really nice qualities. And it is, I hope it's going to be nice. I mean, the nice thing about Japanese products is that companies in Japan tend to make high quality products. So I don't think there's too much to worry about. We have sparkling water and yuzu juice. So very simple. This says 1% juice. So that's good. 1 calorie. Oh, this is very, very happy for my svelting figure. I like that. And it says best before 2/25/25. I've probably had this for a while now, There was a time when I was buying a whole bunch of this stuff to like keep around, just in case we need to do an episode, right? So George is with us. Good morning, all. Just checking by this evening. Yes, I'll be there. Power plant says no. But we're going to be doing that. So tonight, that's where we're going. All right, so let's make this Americano. And Americano is very simple, right? Americano is basically liquid. Americano is typically water, hot water, with espresso pulled on top. And so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to pull the espresso on top, see what it does. And that's pretty much it. And if it turns out well, this might be something you might be able to make for your loved one tomorrow on Valentine's Day. Right? That could be interesting. But I think maybe first we should taste the yuzu and see what it's all about. Let me grab our little shot glass here. Do we have to shake it first? I don't think so. Oh, it's sparkling water, so I probably should not shake it. Yesterday I was cleaning out my fridge and I found this small like pint bottle of apple cider that had ballooned because it was unopened. Okay, there we go. And it basically exploded across my kitchen. Really not very good. Okay, very clear. It's very water. Aichi water. Oh. Bright, clean. Got that yuzu kind of flavor. So very kind of crisp and clean. There's a nice sharpness to it, but it's not harsh, right? So, oh, that's actually very pleasant. Gosh, I could totally drink that. Oh, that should make for an interesting Americano. Now, one of the things about this kind of product, because it is carbonated, is that I tend to find that, there's a little bit of hesitation for me, because in the past, when I've used drinks that are carbonated to make Americanos or to mix with espresso, there tends to be a reaction with the crema and the espresso, so it becomes very like that foamy stuff. It just kind of grows and like becomes kind of hard. It's kind of ugly. A lot of times it's just very ugly. So hopefully it won't be too bad, or maybe because it's clear, it'll be pleasant. Who knows? We're going to find out. But that's one thing to keep in mind about this. So Aichi is not close to Chugoku, really. I thought it was. Anyway, Chugoku has several prefectures. The biggest is called Hiroshima. Oh, what I read was that they said that it was all part, that even Osaka was part of that. Oh, what do I know? What do I know? It's the problem with reading Wikipedia. It is the southernmost prefecture in Honshu. Oh, okay, very good, very good. All right, let's make our espresso. We're going to come over here now and get our grinder. We've got our espresso set up. Let me pull this back a little bit. Look at that. There's our setup. We all know about this. We all know about this. This is not new to you guys anymore. So let's clean it up and see how is our portafilter from yesterday. A little bit of like dried coffee still in there, so we're just going to wipe it off. But no residue because I guess I cleaned it off better yesterday. But then you can see a little bit of residue. So we're going to hit it with a little bit of water. Just a little bit, just to give us a little bit of rinsing. And we're going to watch this, right? Always watch this when you're working with your portafilters. Anytime you do a quick rinse, even if you feel like you just swished it quickly, and you know, there's always going to be some water that falls through the perforations, and then it just falls here. So if you keep it over your drip tray, if you keep your spouts over your drip tray, you will not have spillage here, and you will not have to wipe that up. Right? It's always about kind of working with efficiency. So we've got in here, looks a lot nicer. We're going to wipe it off. Okay, good. As always, you want to make sure your basket is clean, dry, and no coffee left over from old shots. Now, even, you might think that, oh, I can leave a few specks of coffee in there and no one's going to notice. And, you might be right. But, we teach dogma for this kind of thing, just because, we want to have it. We always taught our baristas that we want to be very dogmatic in this and very specific in this, so that, it just becomes second nature. It just becomes something that you do, and you don't have to question. Now, if you really have to, for whatever reason, you could leave some in there, and I don't think it's going to affect it that much. But we make the presumption that it's going to affect it quite a lot. Now, one of the reasons that we also do that is because at Spro, we're taking things to a very far degree. Like we're being very precious about what we're doing. And we want to do that because we want our baristas to, understand the respect of what we're trying to give to our product. But also we want to I think by taking a lot of effort to do what we do, it also communicates to our guests that there's a lot of effort being taken, that we're taking this very seriously, and that coffee needs to be respected. And that's a different approach than a lot of coffee places will take, especially here in the United States, and especially, in the burgeon when specialty coffee was really burgeoning back 20 years ago. Now, nowadays it's a lot more accepted. So actually, I don't know what kind of standards people are teaching in their shops, because when they bring me to come in, we're working on some basic concepts that are very similar. Now, I ground this just a little bit, just because we're going to toss that out. Get rid of it. Just make sure that we want to have, hopefully, as nice a quality coffee as we can. Now, one of the things we had a problem with yesterday was that the coffee just didn't look so nice. We had that first shot in the espresso cup looked great. All of our subsequent shots were kind of thin, and I was like, what is going on here? Is it a question that we didn't purge enough? Or there's maybe some coffees that are staling that are left? Did we not get enough coffee in the portafilter? Did we not get the right grind? Do we need to go finer? So right now, what I'm interested in doing is pulling a shot to see what we're going to get, so that we can have, hopefully, the best chance of making a great Americano with a very limited quantity of our yuzu juice. Now, this is something that in a coffee environment that I would be doing on the fly. Like, let's say like yesterday, we're making those two Americanos. As I'm pulling the Americano, let's say I pull it for a customer, right? And I don't think I probably would have served the first one. I probably might have served the second one, maybe. But definitely I would have, this would be our third. I would want to make an adjustment, right? I would probably make it now, but since it's been 24 hours, I'm not going to make an adjustment yet. So we're going to pull a shot. But had I been in that situation, I probably would have gone for a slightly finer adjustment to the espresso because I'm thinking that by slightly fining the grind, I'm going to get better compaction, greater resistance, so it's going to have better extraction. Right. So that's kind of what I was thinking like yesterday. Now we're going to pull a shot and see how this works and see what happens. Now, if you want to be more hyper accurate and focused, and maybe we'll do that. No, we're not going to go over that. I was going to say you could be very hyper accurate and focused, and you could totally go and grab your scale and weigh everything. I'm not going to do that because I'm a pirate and I'm wearing green. So today we're not going to do that. Power Plant says Japan is divided into regions and prefectures. Every region contains several prefectures. Oh, nice. Marco says that customer, I appreciate the dogma and extra effort. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And a lot of citrus comes from the southern island. Ah, okay, that's where I was wondering because I can't imagine that yuzu would grow well like around Tokyo, right? That seems kind of like that would be like growing here, and like I don't think it would survive. All right, let's go back to our coffee now. Okay, so here we go. We're going to grind like a pirate. Ooh, there's some nice aromatics coming off of the grind here. Okay, so we've got our, maybe a little bit heavy, but we got down, it's lower down here, higher on this side, right? Come around, I'm sweeping around to try to fill that valley in. There's still, to me, a little bit of indentation there. Like that irritates me looking at it. So I'm going to come back and see, as I pushed it away, it opened up more, right? So I want to come back again this time, fill that in, and then I'm going to come forward. Now, I still have a lot of coffee in here, right? That's a lot of coffee. I could compact that down, but that's probably going to push us to 23, 24 grams. We want to stay around 21, so we're going to get rid of that. Just like that. Just push it off. Now, how do I determine how much? I don't know. This is all, everything is always by feel, right? So, and part of the thing that I would mention in the past is that when we're training baristas, we do a lot of drills of, dosing and weighing the coffee, and there's a sheet that the baristas will fill out as they're doing that records their dose and wastage, right? So they check the dose and the waste that they're doing, right? Because we want to reduce the amount, because especially since they're grinding by hand, we want them to grind by hand manually, and we want them to keep their waste low. So we weigh everything, and so they're doing that. I think the form that we have has them doing at least 80 times, and they may do 2 forms, so maybe up to 160 times. And they're going very slow at it, right? It's meant to be very slow, very methodical, so that they learn. And then finally, for their test, they do a test where they do, I think it's 20 pulls like that. And it's very difficult because, if you go 19 and you make your 20th and it's off, you have to restart again. So we really want that to be very, very hardcore because, and some people may think, oh, well, why would you do that? Like, why is that so important? Because, here's, especially in a manual setting like we have or had, you're living and dying by the wastage, right? Like you need to have as control on your waste as possible. So we need to have as highly skilled a barista as we possibly can. So now we're going to take our tamper and then we're just going to drop it on top. Again, just feeling around the edges to make sure that it's level. Come back and give it a temp. Press down a little bit and then twist. Just a quarter turn is good. And that gives us a nice polish on our puck. And hopefully, I just flick out the excess coffee that's in there because I want it to be as smooth as I can. Sometimes, as you've seen on this live stream, it's, for whatever reason, it's not adhering well. So I'll tilt it over and the whole thing will come out. And that's always very distressing. All right, so let's flush it out. And here's something that I want to like communicate. This is something that people, I always see, especially like younger baristas or newer enthusiasts start out with. They put the portafilter in and they hit the button and they're all like, oh my God, I got to put my cup down. They're like panicking for the cup. You've got a long time. If you've done this part correctly, you've got a long time before you need to worry about that, like a good 5 seconds. So here we go. Let's see. I'm going to put that in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, very calm, very smooth. Now it's coming out. Oh, that's a little bit fast. I feel like that's fast. I want it to be slower. I want it to be more retarded in the way that it's flowing. Like, yeah, see, that's a bit faster. This is what I'm thinking. So now I feel like without tasting it, I'm talking about this without tasting it, my initial reaction is that I want to change the grind and go a little bit finer to get more resistance. So I would like it to be a little bit, a little bit more, pull a more out of it. I want it to be slower. I want it to be more viscous. I want it to be a lot more syrupy looking. That came out pretty fast. So I'm not expecting greatness, right? I might be surprised. Oh my gosh, it's a great, no, it's not. No, it's a little bit harsh. It's a little bit harsh, just a little bit, maybe notes of sourness, not heavy sourness, just a little bit. It's just not what I want, right? Like it's not terrible, but it's not what I want. Like it doesn't have that rich cocoa powder, that chocolate, the heavier body. Like the body's a little bit thinner, the body's a little bit more medium. And it's like, I want it to be, right? Now, and this is the thing, when you're dealing with espresso, like I'm describing to you and you see me describe, oh, that second sip had a little more cocoa powder. That layering effect. Okay, that's a little bit better. But what I'm saying to you is that what I tell you here is really an espresso based on my idea of what espresso should be, right? This is my standard. This is what I like, right? It may or may not have anything to do with what you like. So the important thing for you, I think for the person at home to do is to try coffees, find the coffees that you like and try to understand that so that as you're pulling your shots, you can see, oh, I don't like that. And maybe I should be pulling it. Maybe I need to change this factor to see if I can get the better character out of it. And that's what we're going to do now, right? We're going to do that. And to get better character, let's go back to our espresso machine. And we've got our grinder, right? So with our grinder, let me see if I can get a better angle. There we go. Slightly better. You can see there's a collar right here, right? This is the adjustment collar. And it rotates this way, right? This way for coarser, this way for finer. And we want to go just a little bit finer. Now, if you look really closely, you're going to see that on this particular, oh, you can even see here, coarse, gross, grossa, fine, fine, right? So let me turn that little door out of the way so you can see. But as you can see, there's numbers here, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. As we talked about before, numbers on grinders are completely arbitrary, right? Like meaning that even if I had two of the same grinders, like two Mazda Majors sitting here, so there's notches on the collar, right? So between each number, there's so many notches. I don't really know how many because I never counted, but there's notches between them. And some people will use see how here's the kind of like the register mark. You can use that and say, I want it to be here. How many notches from 1 or how many notches from 2? That's all right, but it's arbitrary. I cannot take this 1 plus, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I cannot take 1.4 notches and transfer that and tell you, hey, if you have a Mazda Major, you've got to do 1 to 4, 1.4, right? Because that means, it really means nothing. That I don't think you can see it in there. Let's see if I can get a light on it. But inside this collar, it is, yeah, even I can't see it. In the collar, there's a thread, right? So this whole collar has these threads that are about that deep, right? And they're very, very fine. So you can have fine adjustment of the grind. And and the burrs, the 83 millimeter burrs one of them is mounted to this collar. The other is mounted to the motor that's inside this grinder. The motor spins, this does not. This just controls the height and the spacing between the two burrs. But it's very, very fine. So like, How many times? It will take me quite a lot of revolutions to remove this collar from the grinder because it's so fine. And so what that means is that you may have a grinder that's set to 1.4, and then the other grinder you might have might be 1.4, but it could be at a different position. It will almost certainly be at a different position on that collar, which can also be determined or changed by the wear of your burrs, right? The more your burrs wear, right, as your burr wears, the gap becomes greater. And because we're talking about espresso, where we're taking these beans, one bean, into like 2,000 to 3,000 particulates, the grind is very fine. So very minute, even minute changes in your burr dimensions and your geometry can affect your shots very significantly, right? So everything is like working in conjunction. So that's why I'm always very hesitant about telling people, this is the grind setting, because the grind setting means really nothing. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the grinder on, and because there's always coffee inside here and in here, like partially, you can see like the chute is. You can kind of see the chute down here. There's always coffee in that chute. So there's always coffee somewhere in the pathway of the grinder. So we need to get that up. But more importantly, we need to understand that because there's coffee in the pathway, there's coffee between the burrs. So if we separate the burrs, no big deal. But if we try to compact the burrs together, there's coffee between those burrs. So we have to crush them. And that just makes it more difficult to rotate it finer. But if we rotate it coarser, easy, no problem. You could do that with the grinder off. The best practice really is to grind with it on. So we're going to turn it on, make an adjustment, let it grind a little bit to get some of that out, flush it all done, and then go back to making a shot. So we're going to do that. We're going to turn it on, make a quick adjustment. Now, I just moved it barely. That still could be a lot of adjustment, right? I try, actually, now that I think about it, I'm doing this one-handed while holding the camera. I probably would have moved it just a little bit more had I had both hands on it, because then I could actually, leverage it. Okay, there, just do that a little bit. So probably about maybe one full click over. Now, am I really thinking about it in terms of clicks, or, as terms of notches of adjustment, like here? No, I'm just kind of feeling it. Everything's about, me, I'm a little bit about feel nowadays. Right? So it's a little bit about feel. Now, feel seems kind of like, very touchy-feely, and it really is. But, I say it, I do a lot by feel, but it took me a long time to get there. Like, there was a lot of times that I would sit there trying to think, I need to turn here and push it there. And there's a lot of time that I spent just going back and forth, trying to adjust the grind, chasing it. And it just kept on like being all wonky. Unfortunately, that seems to be part of the journey. And I don't necessarily have a quick, shortcut to beating that. Powerplant says, there are many citrus that have not really exported very much to the West, or at least appreciated by Westerners. Oh, I haven't tried that many of them. The dai is a strange orange-like citrus that can ripen and unripen several times if they are not picked free. Oh, really? Wow, that's fascinating. And then sudachi is a hard, spherical, green lime-like citrus that is often used in drinks and sliced very thin and served over soba udon noodles. Oh, interesting. And the kobosu is also green, spherical lime-like citrus, but it's slightly larger and bitter. It is also used in drinks and served over noodles like the sudachi. Oh, I need that. These are the more things that I need to try on future trips to Japan. In Okinawa, they also have a special citrus that looks like a lime but is green-skinned orange. They call it shikuwasa. Oh, interesting. And Russell says that my relatives live in Keisen in Fukuoka. Are any of these fruits grown there because it's warmer than the rest of Japan? Well, that's a good question. Good morning to you, Andrew. One of my second Japanese teacher was from Fukuoka. Esther, what was her name? Esther. Oh no, memories. It's so terrible. It will come to me. All right, so we made our adjustment. We did a little bit of grinding. I'm going to grind a little bit more. so that we can just get a little bit through. That should be good, I think. And then now I'm going to brush out as much of the excess coffee as I possibly can from the interior of this dosing chamber. Now, for those of you who don't have these type of manual grinders, these are things that you don't have to worry about. And in many respects, I think that it's probably better for the home enthusiast not to have a grinder such as this one. Like, look at how much coffee wastage I've had. This is easily one full shot, one full double shot. I'm going to get rid of that. Because, you know, you don't necessarily have the luxury of having a lot of coffee, right? If you're buying coffee by the 12-ounce bag, pound bag, or whatever, even if you're buying by the kilo bag, that's still, you know, a more limited amount of coffee than your average coffee shop will have. And, you know, there might be some cool factor for an enthusiast to have like professional coffee equipment, such as this kind of grinder, but I think it's not very practical. Like, it's also kind of like, as much as I think this grinder is an awesome espresso grinder, if I had this in the kitchen, it would be very big. Like, this would not fit under the counters, right? Like, look at that thing. That is just massive. There are smaller hoppers you can use, but, you know, yeah, you can do all that. Okay, so now let us go back here and get ready for another shot. We're going to pull another shot to see how it is. Let's see. Let's look at our puck. We should look at this first before making our adjustment. So a little bit soft, right? There's a little bit soft. See how there's some indentation there? I would like it to be harder. So that could also be, maybe we should have put more coffee in it, but we stopped it. It looks like pretty at a good spot because there's no residual oils left. Okay, again, we're going to rinse that out. Just let it sit there for a moment to drip out. Okay. There we go again. Whoops. Now I've got it. This is where this is where when you're doing manual grinding, it comes a little bit of a question. So I've got very high buildup on this side, big boulders here, valley, deep valley. There's a deep. Look at this deep. Look how deep that valley is. It's very deep, right? Now, there's a part of me that feels that this is not enough coffee. Like, I want to add a little bit more, but let's see when we do. Let's see. So now we've got this huge chasm or this huge valley here, right? We're going to, I'm actually changing the way I'm holding the portafilter for this just for fun, right? So we're going to push it over hard. But now here's the thing. So I only pushed it about halfway, right? I don't push it all the way over because I don't want to lose the coffee. So we're always trying to retain the coffee, right? So now I'm going to come back around this way and pull it around. Whoops. Hold it in there and push that in, then come back. Now, even though I want to fill this in, I'm going to push it back a little bit to expose it, then come back around, filling that in. Still not done. Come back forward with it. Now we've kind of got that filled in. Now I can come back this way. There's a little bit of gap there. This one's a little bit more technical, difficult. Push that over, come back here. Oh, this might be enough. Yeah, that's good. And now I'm just grooming it, just grooming. And I think I'm just going to leave it as that amount of coffee. I feel like there could be just a slight too much, but we're just going to roll with it and see what we can do. Again, level out your temper. Ooh, we had a little bit of change there. Okay, so I feel like there's also a little bit, because we went a little bit finer with grind, I felt like there was a little more compaction happening. But let's see. Make sure that runs clean. Lock and load. Again, don't be so in a rush to get your cup under there. You've got some time. Oh, now we've got a lot of time. Wow, this is, oh, look how slow that is. Oh, look at that. This is 2. So now we're right on the verge of 2 fine. We didn't really move that very much. So this is going to be a pretty long shot. I think we might be a little bit too fine in the grind. Also, see that now it's fluttering there, right? So that's telling us it's done. Now, I'm starting to wonder, you know, this coffee, I mean, look, it still looks great. Like that crema still looks very solid. Right? That's a nice, solid looking. But very low volume. But better color. I like the coloration here better. I think also it could be a fact that we're now another week into this coffee, right? This is still the same coffee we've been using for the last few weeks. And I didn't put the date on here, but I think it's like from early in January. And I think maybe now we're running into this point where it's starting to, like maybe last week was like the beauty space for that coffee. Like the last 2 weeks were like, oh, and maybe this week we're now moving into like, okay, it's getting a little bit longer in the tooth. That could be what's happening. But I think that shot was a little bit tight. But we're going to go forward. We're going to move forward. We'll see if we can make some adjustments to it. Papan says, good question. In fact, dai are grown as ornamental plants in modern times. I love going to Fukuoka City. The prefecture is awesome. They grow all these citrus there. Oh, that sounds great. And the shikuwasa is really only grown in Okinawa, though. Ah, okay. And then Fukuoka City is really famous for mentaiko, especially kirashi mentaiko. They are cured cod. Here we are. We're going from karashi mentaiko to like cured roe. See, I can't even say. I can't speak the English. Cured cod roe in the sack. Oh, in the sack. In modern times, mentaiko is used in a cream sauce over pasta. I do like that. Just like, oh my. That's the one thing when I'm in Tokyo is I'll go to places like markets, and then I'm very sad about it because I'm staying at a hotel. And I'm only there for a couple of days, 3, 4, 5 days at the most. And you go to these, I love to go to grocery stores, and you see all these wonderful like food items, but you can't cook anything because I don't have a place to cook. So I was like, ah. So whenever my friend Naoko asked me, she's like, hey, do you want me to cook for you? I was like, yeah, let's go. So we'll go to her house, and she'll make a whole spread. Her and her husband are there. We always have a great time. It was a great time. Anyway, let's go and make now our Americano and see. Oh, first of all, let's look here at what does our puck tell us? Okay, so here's our puck. And yes, see, look, there's a lot. Okay, so here's where we're making a mistake. We are maybe what I should have done. Now that I'm thinking about it, maybe it's none of the things that I've been speculating on, but maybe we need to increase our dose. And this is what I'm thinking, right? Because now we've got this impaction. Like, see how much I can press down there? That's a lot. And you can even see like that last squeeze. Like here, look at really closely. See, if I squeeze here, I think there's going to be some water. The last one had some water. There, see, there's a little bit of water, right where my thumb was. There's some water. Look how much I can squeeze that. That is a lot. So we have now, we've got coffee in here that's giving enough resistance, but because it's so fine, it creates a lot of resistance. So we actually really need to go back. We're going to go back now. See, that's clean. Oh, that's clean. Okay, I was kind of thinking that might be a little bit over-extracted. So what we're going to do now is we're going to adjust back to where we were, right? We're just going to go just back to it. So here we are. We're here. There's the one here. we're there. We were probably like right there. So I'm just going to rotate it back. Now, because the machine, we're going bigger. Actually, it's probably right there. Might be too much. That was probably too much. There we go. I'm going to say right there. Now, because we're now going coarser, we're separating the burrs. We don't need to turn the grinder on. We do need to turn the grinder on now to get rid of what's in there. Good. And that's going to purge just enough, I think, of the coffee that now is too fine and give us. Now, a lot of times when you're making espresso and you're making grind adjustments, you probably want to pull 1, 2, maybe 3 shots to really get everything out of the way and really seat yourself in the new setting. But what we've seen now by looking at, oh, why is that doing that? Better. We've seen now by this last shot that it's, and looking at the puck, that it's just too fine. It's just getting too much it's filling up too much loft. I don't like it. So now, instead of like waiting to see, is it really going to seat in there and what's going to happen? We don't want to wait. We want to go back to our old setting, because I think that's really where we probably should have stayed now in retrospect. Okay, so now here we go. Let's go back now. Okay, here we go again. A little bit of a bed. Now there's like there's a cave in there. There's a cave. Look at that cave. Why is it caving like that? Very strange. So now I want to cover that cave. So I'm actually going to come around this way to fill in that cave, help fill in that cave, right? Filled in the cave a little bit there, huh? Filled in, good. And we still have this low spot here. So now I'm going to come back around this way and just kind of drag it across, right? And that's filled in all of my low spots. So this time, so we're just going to come in, and now I'm just going to groom it. This idea of grooming, I didn't really think about that term. I didn't really use that term for this whole technique until recently. Like, I mean, in the last like month. Okay, now we've got this mound here. I think that's still a lot. So I want to get rid of a little bit of that mound, just like that, right? And maybe just reset that to the center. Good. Now we're going to tamp. Again, level that tamp out. Give it a nice twist. Wipe off all of this. Good. I think that'll be pretty good. Now, should we do another test shot? We should do another test shot just to see, right? Just to see what we can see. Let's go for it. Testing. I always like, by the way, to put the portafilter in and hit the brew button immediately. Okay, there we go. That's more like it. That's more like what I'm looking for. A little bit of wavering there. I think we should stop now. Now, you might have noticed on this last shot that it had started to waver to this a bit before I actually stopped the shot. And you might be wondering, like, why not? What are you looking for? What are you waiting for? Hurry up, stop the thing. It's too long. I think that, you should be cognizant of what's happening, but I kind of had to get a feel for it. I wanted to see a little bit more volume come out. Now we're gonna check. We're gonna look at how it looks. Right, we're looking here. Crema looks nice. I like that crema. A little bit of bubbles, and then we're gonna taste. So everything is always about taste, right? So if you watch what you're doing, you watch your shot, and you think about what you're seeing, and then you can correlate that over time to the experience that you're having. Oh, that's much better. Like, okay, that's better. More cocoa powder, better body, smoother. Oh, yeah, that's much nice. Oh, yeah, that's more what I'm looking for. All right, let's have a look now at our puck system. I'm going to pull the puck out. I bet this is going to be closer to what we really like. Oh yeah, so there's a little bit of give, but not like a lot of give like the last one, and not too hard. You kind of want to have somewhere in between. This is pretty good. And so let's knock that out. Oh, look at that. See, here's what I was saying. So see this residual oils here? Remember as it was flowing, it started to pulse, waver, and I let it run a little bit longer. And I said, you might be wondering why I'm letting it, because I want to see what happens. Now we can see here that we're beyond the quote unquote ideal spot of where we should have stopped. But even though we were beyond that, this is telling us that we're beyond. And why is it telling us this will happen for under extraction and over extraction? However, to know whether it's under or over depends on everything that you're looking at. So that's why I'm saying that had the streams came out and stopped, and we just stopped it without any kind of wavering or any indication that the coffee is finished, and we had this, we would know that we under extracted. But because we had this wavering, that's the coffee telling us that it's done. I'm giving you everything that I can, and now I'm petering out, right? And so it also shows the oils here. So these are the correlations that you'll have to make as you're thinking about your espresso. And so even though that we have this and it's over extracted, the flavor of the coffee is still very enjoyable. Very nice cocoa, great body, nice quality flavor. So it's not everything's not totally heavily written in stone that has to be a certain way. And if you go over a little bit, everything has gone to hell, right? These are things you're just going to have to play around with and get a feel for, because and at the end of it, what are we doing? We're trying to make, at the very basic, you're making espresso for yourself, coffee for yourself. So you can taste it and understand, but there's going to be a time when you have friends come over and they want to, can you make me an espresso? And they, if they're your friends, they probably know that you're some kind of like weird coffee geek and like who obsesses about coffee way too much, and that's kind of freakish, and like they don't understand, they can't relate, but they're humoring you because you're friends and they don't want to offend you and hurt your feelings, so they just go along. And they may say, hey, can I get an espresso? And you want to give them the best you possibly can, right? But the thing about this kind of stuff is that you can't taste. It's not like you make their espresso. Okay, it tastes good. Here, have it, right? Nobody wants that, right? Nobody likes that idea. So these are all techniques that we use, especially specifically for situations where we're not able to taste the drink. We have to find telltales to let us know that the coffee that we're just going to serve to someone has a very high chance of being exactly what we want, right? That's kind of the whole thing about this. Did I read them into? Oh yeah, I did. Prabhupada says, I often visit the Zaifu Tenmangu. It is near Fukuoka City. It is especially auspicious because it was the first Tenmangu Dazaifu Tenmangu is the shrine for students, especially. Oh, interesting. That's probably why I didn't do well as a student, because I never went to those shrines. That yuzu drink is generally a mixer for shochu. Ooh. I don't think I can drink alcohol anymore. I had that run in last week or a couple weeks ago where I had the 3/4 of a shot of tequila, and it just kind of like wiped me out. Like my knee, it took out my knee for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Oh, God. I might have to give up drinking. I can't risk that. It's just too much risk. Okay, so let's make our coffee. We're going to take our yuzu sparkling water. I'm going to put this. Let me get rid of these cups. So let's pour some in here. Like I said, we might get some residual whatever. Not so pretty. We're going to do maybe that much water. Right? That much water. We're going to put that close by so that it's at the ready. And now we're going to make our a little bit dirty. So we got to make sure it's nice and clean before we begin. Now we're pretty much set up, I think. All right. Little like almost bouldering there, a little bit low there, but nothing too bad. Just going to come around, push it all in. And that's pretty much it. This time I'm going to leave a little bit more mounding because I feel like it might be a little bit low. And then drop it back on. I never understood why pucks come out. I think maybe there's some kind of like surface tension that's missing. Maybe it's just too dry. Like there has to be some residual, maybe a little kind of bits of moisture, which doesn't make any sense because the heat of the port filter tends to dry it out once you wipe it off. So I don't know. All right, now here we go. Let's see what happens. Lock and load. Here comes the yuzu. Ooh. Will we get a good float? I hope so. You know, for me, the Americano is all about the float. Oh, look at that. Now you see how it's getting all very big with the crema? Stop. Okay, now how do we get this out? Probably the idea we should like... See, there's a problem. This is a problem. See how I tilted it, right? Okay, here's where I tend to be a little bit more precious about what we're doing here, right? So we have this, hang on. So here we go. We've got this. Now I think it's a little bit higher than I would normally like. If I was if I was designing this drink for service, I would like the cap to be slightly down to there, so we have a lot more clear glass. And actually, it's growing. It's going to overflow. It's growing. It's going to overflow soon. And one of the problems I think with this kind of drink is that this cap is not terribly. I don't think it's terribly nice. Like. And what I was going to say is that because I was tilting it to get it out of the spouts, it, sloshed a little bit higher. So what I want is really clean. I would really want a clean line here of clear glass, and that would prevent that. But now that you see it's slowly rising, that's negated. I'm wondering now if it's going to overflow. And as you can see here, there is a bit of, it looks crusty, right? It looks crusty. Actually, it looks right now like a pineapple bun. I don't know, the pineapple bun's very, very, what can you do about that? But it's not, actually it looks kind of like yeasty bread now with that thing. But will it taste good? I don't know. Let's see what it tastes like. And how difficult will it be to drink? Now, this is something that I also think about, in the context of developing drinks is, how difficult is it to drink? And this I can foresee being difficult to drink because you have to tilt it to drink it, right? And how much foam do you need to have before you get to the beverage itself? And how difficult is it to get to that beverage? And will your nose touch, right? That's all foam. And the difficulty with the foam is that the foam is the majority of the volume in your mouth. It's also continually expanding in your mouth. So the volume of your mouth is actually filling with gases. And so you're not really getting a lot of flavor. Just maybe a little bit. I got a little bit of coffee. I got a little bit of this down there. I mean, it's got that light yuzu-ness to it. It's the yuzu's there. There's the cocoa powder aspect of the espresso. Honestly, I mean, it's interesting. I don't. Oh, you know what? It might be an interesting photo for me to use for my Substack. Right. I have a Substack. You can click on it down below in the description. I'll use that. And maybe I'll use this one too, because that's not very pretty. And like, let's say the idea was to create this Yuzu Americano. You could do this. You could just use your typical espresso, like in this case, our espresso. We could use that and mix it here. But you know what? While it's curious and interesting, it's not really compelling. It's like, yeah, I got espresso. There's some cocoa notes. There's the yuzu. It's light. It's kind of like citrusy. But it's not like you drink this and you're like, whoa. And that's what you want. At least that's what I want. I want people to come, try drinks, and be like, whoa, that's good. Right? Or even if it's not good, at least, whoa, it's interesting. Like something compelling to make you think about it. Like, whoa, what's the deal with that? Right? That's really, I mean, it's not bad. It's just not great. It's just not compelling. It's just, I would think, like, let's say we were really serious about developing this drink. This is when I would start to look at different coffees. Like, what kind of coffees would be complementary to this yuzu? Would we want to look at fruity naturals to pair with it? Would we want to go, I don't know, any kind of different fermentations, different varietals? To me, this is the puzzle of drink making. Is like, how do you take these ingredients that are, in many respects, very disparate and make them complementary? And even if you're making contrasty, I think contrasty can be very interesting and very compelling. Could be a lot better. Could be a lot better. Maybe it could be sweeter. What if we did make it sweeter? Let's see what happens if I add a little bit of sweetener to it. We're going to add this. We're going to add some of Sawmill Charlie's bee honey. I'm going to add just a tad bit of honey. Maybe just that much. Just that much. And we're going to use this whipper and then reincorporate everything. Yeah, these little whip things, they don't really have a lot of torque. All right, so there we go. Kind of Orange Julius looking. Did that help? Still a bit of airiness because there's a lot of whip. There's a lot of. Remember how it looked, I don't know if you saw it, but it was looking kind of light in color because there's still a lot of air whipped into it. Could go with more honey. I don't. You could tell by my face. I don't really like it. Power Plant says, shochu itself is a very interesting brewed fermented product, quite similar to vodka in production, and is a direct descendant of the Chinese liquor baijiu. Oh. And the reason you got a huge head in the drink is called nucleation. The particulate coffee grounds in the coffee liquid are creating bonding sites for carbon dioxide in the drink. Ah, yes, yes. Oh, yeah. No, that's a no. Yes to nucleation, no to that variation. Well, there it is. Maybe this is not something you want to give to your loved one tomorrow for Valentine's Day, unless you want to find a way to subtly introduce the idea that maybe you should be ending your relationship. Yeah, no. That is not. That is compelling in the wrong direction. All right. So any plans for Valentine's Day? And gosh, I'm glad Naomi mentioned that in the comments on the other stream, because I had It didn't really even occur to me that it's the 13th and tomorrow's the 14th and Valentine's Day. I've always found traditionally, there have been very few Valentine's days that I have not been single, like maybe 4. For whatever reason, I always ended up in relationships outside of Valentine's Day, right? So if this is the calendar year, right? This is the calendar year, and this is Valentine's Day. Like I was always in relationships this time of year. Like by the time the holidays rolled around, usually we were done. And then, maybe I'd meet someone like in May, March, April, and I don't know. It's very odd. So in the few times that I've had relationships during Valentine's Day, I was kind of like, oh, what should I be doing? Terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. Like I always had like that break, that like Thanksgiving to like St. Patrick's Day break. It was like kind of nice. I was like, okay, I can save money. Don't have to buy gifts. Good. Don't have to stress about gifts. Very nice. But yeah. Yeah, and as you can probably imagine by my comments here now, I don't have to worry about that tomorrow either. Maybe I'll go get donuts tomorrow for myself. In Japan, a lot of yuzu stuff is paired with creamy, fatty flavor like cream cheese. Ooh, if you could make a yuzu cream cheese cold foam, people would like that. Well, that's very interesting. The difficult part here in America is getting like yuzu proper, right? Like you can sometimes get yuzu in a bottle. I have to look see if I have some, but yeah, that stuff goes by. I mean, it kind of like turns orange or amber so quickly. I'm like, very distressing to have, very distressing. All right, well, that's pretty much it for today. Our yuzu sparkling water. I mean, the yuzu sparkling water itself is very refreshing. That's a pleasant drink by itself, right? It's very that console kind of idea, but using it with the espresso that we have here, not such a great idea. But, as we've talked about in the past, the pathway to finding and developing great drinks is littered with dismal failures. And today, well, maybe not today's not dismal failure, but failure nonetheless. That's what you get here. Raw coffee ideas, not just beautiful coffee stuff presented to you. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you have questions about or ideas for future shows, drop them in the comments so that I'll know. There's times I'm just sitting around struggling to think about, what should we do? I don't know. Well, let's find something. So if you have ideas, put them in the comments. Let me know. I'm always interested. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And if you have someone to spend your time with Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day. Hope you enjoy. Or by yourself, happy Valentine's Day nonetheless, because you know what? You're the most beautiful person in the world. Why not enjoy it for yourself? Buy yourself a box of chocolates, of heart chocolates. Actually, I bought a box a couple weeks ago. I was at the grocery store. I was at the drugstore, and they had this like little Russell Stover candies heart, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy that for myself, and I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna eat all the chocolates in the box because you know what? Why not, right? So there it is. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Back again on Monday, and see you next time.